Hello and welcome back to the Game Collection podcast. I'm Matt. I head up the marketing here at TGC, and I'm joined once again by Jack, who is our social media wizard guru extraordinaire. Jack, how are we doing?
I am very well, thanks, Matt. I'm hanging in there nicely on the back of a busy week, but we have some epic things to talk about in relation to that. So
we do indeed. This podcast is brought to you by Nintendo, just because we watched a really, really good Direct a few days ago and thought we'd talk about it. So, this episode is going to be a bit Nintendo themed. We're going to talk about, what we're excited for in terms of Switch 2. In terms of many of the games that got announced and are coming up. Talk about some of our favorite Nintendo consoles, answer a few of your questions, of course. Thank you so much to everyone who keeps sending those in. And thank you to the folks who've been listening to the first couple of podcasts as well. We read every single comment. We've been really enjoying the feedback, so do keep that coming. Let us know how you're finding it. We are now on Spotify, so you can find us on YouTube and on Spotify, and hopefully soon Apple as well. But if you are listening to us on Spotify, don't be afraid to drop a rating and a review. Please, please, please do. Tell us if you love it. If you don't like it, maybe... Well, you do what you want. Do what you want.
There's no such thing as bad press, man.
There's no such thing as bad press.
Let them say what they want.
It definitely is. But hit us with it. Hit us with it. Like we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
We're big boys.
We're big boys. We're big boys. I've got a little bit of housekeeping because I figured, we want this podcast to be quite natural. We want it to be like, and thank you so much to the folks that have again fed back and given us feedback on the nature of this. Glad folks are enjoying it. But yeah, we want it to feel natural. We want it to feel like two mates coming together and having a chat about games, which is what this is, really.
It is.
We do obviously represent a commercial entity, right? Like we represent the Game Collection. But I do feel like we need a little disclaimer at the start. So I've prepared a little something today to illustrate this, and I hope you'll indulge me because it's a Nintendo themed podcast today. What I've done is I've set this to quite a familiar, hopefully quite a familiar Nintendo theme. So yeah, if you're a Zelda fan in particular, I'm hoping you're going to recognize this. Podcast time with your mates. Gaming banter and spicy takes. Personal thoughts from us to you. Not the company view. All these opinions, don't take them serious. Publishers, please don't be mad. Jesus Christ. Let's kick back with some gaming chat. Physical media is rad. There you go.
I'd like to point out that that wasn't in the podcast notes, or I was in no way prepared for what was about to unfold. You mentioned a disclaimer, and I was like, okay, yeah, now's the right time to mention, we're a retailer, etc., etc. Yeah. That went in directions that I didn't know existed. In
You're
truth,
welcome.
I will say it was wonderfully written. There was content in there for everyone. Some really important messages were delivered, and I'd rate that a solid 9 out of 10.
Oh, thanks, man. An actual 9 or an IGN 9?
Oh, savage. Is that going to stay in?
Yes.
Disclaimer.
These are our personal thoughts.
And not those of the Game Collection.
As I said, as I mentioned in the
personally,
song, when I stretched opinions out to being like 5 syllables long, it's not that deep.
I was going to say that, but personally, I thought that was genuinely mind blowing.
Thank you.
I was bopping, I was swaying, I was confused, I was vibing. There was loads of, honestly, man, like that's really gone in a direction that I just didn't expect this to begin with. So
right, well, let's bring it back on track, and let's start with well, you mentioned we wanted to talk about Nintendo this week. Let's start with a straightforward question from Jake Ward. Like, thank you, Jake, one of our regulars, always commenting, engaging. Big up, Jake. He says, out of 10, how would you rate the Nintendo Direct? For me, for Jake, it was an 8. So how would you rate the Nintendo Direct, Jack?
For me personally, I'm going to give it an 8.5. I actually thought it was a very strong show. In truth, I thought there was some great stuff in there. We are going to get to our highlights. There was a couple of strange ones in there too. Don't get me wrong. As is always the way with Nintendo in a 60-minute presentation, there's going to be things where you'll feel, okay, that's amazing. Okay, that could have been an email. There's just. It goes in directions, and you just kind of gotta go with it. Kind of like your song just now. You're along for the ride. So, but yeah, I'd give it an 8.5. There was definitely enough in there for me to be very excited for the end of this year and Q1, Q2 next year for sure. Obviously, there's some stuff in there that also didn't get release dates yet. Obviously, we had our listings over that evening, our listing information, and I was keen to kind of see what was going to be in there and what wasn't going to be in there, because that's normally an indication of what's imminently coming, and and so on, or what's kind of maybe in the thinking of early next year. So yeah, pretty much what we've got listed at the moment is everything that we were able to list and we were even given any information on. So, but yeah, 8.5 for myself. What about you?
I think around about an 8.5 is fair. I think for me, this is the Nintendo Direct we were waiting for, and we'll kind of get on to kind of our broader thoughts on what the first few months of Switch 2 have been like for us personally. But I think this is the Nintendo Direct we needed. This is Nintendo going, oh yeah, peak's just there. It's just there on the horizon. Let's get folks excited for Christmas. And I think let's make the Switch and the Switch 2, because this is the thing. They're essentially, there's an overlap in that Venn diagram. Like, we're right in the middle of it. They want to sell both. And I think they did a great job. I think they did a great job of getting people really excited about all things Nintendo, staring down the hill into this holiday season. And yeah, some big first party bits in there, some really, really exciting stuff. I think I needed it. Like, I don't think I'm alone in that. Like, needed a strong Nintendo showing, and they came out swinging. And I think we talked about this a little bit when we were chatting about opening night live, and like the importance of being in the room for something like that, and just how it elevates everything and makes those reveals seem bigger. And I think this has always been a bit of a problem in a way with the Nintendo Direct format, is that it's just a YouTube video in essence, and it can sometimes be a little bit difficult to get super hyped about it. If you're watching along with people, obviously great. But I think like this, you're always trying to overcome that challenge of essentially just being just basically kind of being just a straightforward video. And I miss Iwata. I mean, don't we all? But I think like it has to overcome the challenge of the format. And I think the only way to do that is with just really undeniable, awesome announcements. And that's kind of what they did. So just bangers and vibes. I think they did that. So yeah.
And can I just say before we move on, Jake Ward, shout out Jake, who asked the question. I've been at TGC now for 11 years. In fact, is it 12 now? It's a long time. And I obviously came in originally on the customer service role. And I used to speak to Jake all the time back then. Jake would ring up regularly about orders and this and that. And so yeah, that is long-standing TGC loyalty right there. So thank you, Jake. You're always somebody that chips in and engages with us on our social channels, even on things where we're not asking questions. It's just always such a big help for anyone that's kind of loyal and engages. So that's a special thank you to you, Jake. Yeah. Love you, Jake.
Love you, Jake. The community's brilliant. And I think, that's so much of that has to do with Jack's work as well. So shout out Jack as well as Jake, who for 11 years has been the voice and has been just given TGC that personality and that character. And I think it shows. I like to think it shows. But yeah, we appreciate all of you guys who comment, who like, who engage, who buy ultimately.
Of course.
And it's really gratifying to see. So no, thank you, Jake, for all the engagement, for all the comments, for being a part of this. And thank you, Jack, for flying the TGC flag out there in the wilderness of social media for over a decade.
Thank you very much.
Love it. Let's get into some of these banger announcements.
Why not?
What were some of the what was the biggest highlight for you? What was the thing that you were most excited to see? And I'm gonna say, I know Requiem's there. We've talked about it so much, so we can acknowledge it. But like, apart from Requiem, I'm just gonna caveat there. What was the biggest thing?
It's not fair. Don't be like that about Resi. Like, come on. It's written down my list. I'm going to talk about it. And I don't care. You can edit it out. You can do what you want with it, right? But it's going to be in there. Okay.
That's fair.
No,
I know how pumped you are for it. I know how pumped you are for it.
Obviously, Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. I actually put a post out. I think it was either the day before, maybe the day before, direct, or was it that morning, perhaps? And it was like about, and I just dropped Mario Galaxy 2 as an image, and I was like, "Do it, Nintendo! I dare you!" and they dared, and I was pleased. In fact, I actually saw the new Mario film being like Mario Galaxy, and I posted that straight away, and I was like, "That's not Mario Galaxy 3," which would have been insane. But yeah. For me, Galaxy 1 and 2 is immense. And I know, and we're going to touch upon that later on about what we feel around the value of that. So, I'll just skip past that for a second. Metroid Prime 4 for Christmas. Metroid Prime 4 for Christmas.
That's what I wanted. I wanted a Nintendo first-party game dropping just before the holiday season. And
there was me thinking,
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
When you said that, I actually thought you would say it's what you wanted. It was me doing Metroid Prime 4 in Chris Rea's voice for Dragon Ball for Christmas. I'm actually.
that also works. That also works. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
And it's been a long time coming. Like, let's be honest. Like, it's been a while. And it was obviously, the longer it went on, there was more kind of feeling that it was going to get pushed into 2026, and I think it was a bit of a sigh of relief almost at our end, just because yes, it's a really strong title, and it's going to be a really strong title for us for the holiday period. But personally as well, like, you may have mentioned, if you caught the last podcast, I mentioned how much I love Super Metroid. I'm a Metroid fan for sure, and that's basically me not making Christmas dinner now. I'm going to tell my family in advance that there's far more important things going on in my life. But yeah, seriously hyped for Metroid Prime 4, and just relieved that it's coming pre-Christmas. And also Resident Evil Requiem, which I may or may not mention.
You're really?
Even just the little clips we saw that we hadn't seen before, just little moments. I'm like, I don't care. Like, we're not getting shown anything new. I'm like, this is just like more snippets of Resi. This is great. Hyped, and it's getting the obviously dropping on the same day as the PS5 and the Xbox, which is also cool. In the past, we've sometimes seen bigger titles get their release dates. Borderlands 4 is an example. Their Switch 2 release date is slightly after, obviously, Borderlands 4 on PS5 and Xbox. So cool to see it drop on the same day. I still yet to know whether it'll be a game keycard or not. Which again, we're obviously very transparent about this and like to have the discussions around this, and we will touch upon that later as well. I believe that's also one of the questions we've got planned. But yeah, for me, obviously the Galaxy announced 1 and 2, Resi, and Metroid Prime 4 for Christmas. What about yourself? What were your highlights? What jumped out at you other than those?
So I think just touching on Resi, I think sometimes playing a horror game like that in handheld.
Now you want to talk about Resi.
I know. Well, I do specifically about about Switch 2, because sometimes playing a game like that in handheld mode, headphones in, and you're like, it's quite close to your. Sometimes that can be more scary.
Mhm.
And as someone who genuinely, genuinely, nearly soiled himself when we played it at Gamescom, like I'll just be yelling and screaming on a train. Like yeah. I think it's also a testament as well. Like that's, you made the point there about the date, and it's so important, because I think it's lovely that something like Hades 2, for example, is launching on Switch 2 as well. We get
Yep.
staggered digital physical release there, which is sad to me, because I think digital's coming end of this month, and I think physical's not coming until November, which kind of sucks, because you want to be in that almost that FOMO nexus around the launch of a game.
Yep.
But if you're also a collector and you also want to pick things up physically, you almost have to buy it twice sometimes, and yeah, or you wait and you miss that moment where everyone's talking about a thing. So I don't know. It's sometimes that trade-off is difficult to navigate. But I'm hyped for Hades 2. I loved everything that you mentioned there. I wanted to shout out Fire Emblem. I adored Three Houses on Switch. It is so good. I've got over 100 hours in that. So new Fire Emblem is always wonderful in my book. I'm going to get the name of this right. Pokemon Pokopia looks
Well done.
weird as hell, and I'm here for it. Like little cozy life
Ditto,
sim where
man.
you're like a humanoid Ditto learning
Yeah.
from other Pokemon. That sounds incredible. I might be more excited for that than I am about ZA, if I'm being honest.
It's another fever dream, isn't it? It's just another fever dream.
I love it. I love it so much. It's like what we were talking about the other day. Like sometimes, well, no, we've talked about Pragmata a little bit, like this massive segue. Sorry, like Pragmata, that upcoming game from Capcom, weird genre mashup.
Yeah.
It's just someone's fever dream, and Japanese developers and publishers having the, I don't know, it's like balls or whatever, or just the will to be like, yeah, go off, King, just let them cook. I love it.
Let 'em cook.
I love it. So yeah, Pokemon Pokopia is one to watch. I did not have the Virtual Boy returning on my bingo list, but that was a surprise. Like what?
Yeah, that for me, to each their own. I just don't get it. Not for personal. No, and I think obviously in terms of personal opinion, I'm sure there were people that loved it back in the day. But for me, just even that whole kind of like the redness and the I was just like I have zero zero want to play that. And that's just me. That's just me. There are people out there that love it, and that's awesome. Great. No, not even. That's not even enough for me to maybe get involved with the cardboard version. Like I would just, yeah.
It's a really strange thing. Again, I'm not sure that it's for me either, but I love that it is happening. I'm happy for people.
It's just so Nintendo, no? Like
it's very Nintendo. Like it's it's like when they Labo was another weird crossover fever dream.
Yeah.
Right. And just keep being Nintendo.
Keep Nintendoing.
Well, this side, this stuff, this innovative, bonkers, we're gonna do what we kind of want, creativity kind of things, this left field, amazing nonsense. We love it. Keep doing that. I'm hyped for Mario Tennis.
Like it or not, sorry, bud, no, but like it or not, like people are talking about it.
Oh, 100%.
And that's they say sometimes that's just as powerful as anything, isn't it? Like I said earlier, jokingly, there's no such thing as bad press. In truth, like love it or hate it, people are talking about it, and yeah, Nintendo are masters at dropping things like that and just kind of getting the conversation going in a positive and a negative. Whatever your bag is, there's always a discussion to be had around it, and I think there's a hell of a lot of power around that.
Which brings us, I think, onto a question that I think you touched on earlier, from John McMillan, who asked, do you think the Mario Galaxy remakes are just another money grab, considering the fact that Mario Galaxy 1 was already brought back on the limited 3D All-Stars game, which infamously disappeared from the eShop a year or so back? I'm just gonna say I just want to answer this very, very broadly, very quickly. I think all remakes and remasters are, to a certain extent, money grabs, right? You are taking something that
exactly.
is often universally loved, and bringing it to another audience to make more money. And to make more money on one hand, that's the very sort of capitalist, I guess, commercial hat on. But then also to introduce that wonderful game to another audience. And I think we were chatting a little bit about this before we hit record, and Mario Galaxy is well old at this point, right? Like,
Yeah,
and it's also one and two of the best games ever made, ever made.
solid.
So
Like, just
yeah,
brilliantly solid titles.
just
Like, yeah.
absolutely, just Nintendo at the height of their powers. So on the one hand, from my standpoint, I think, of course they want to make some money out of it. Of course, yeah, re-release this, remaster and remake this. On the other hand, I think there's absolutely an argument to say, let's reintroduce two of the best games of all time, and let's see if there's a younger audience that maybe never played them that kind of wants to now on these super shiny, even faster consoles. That's my take on it. How about you, man?
Yeah, no, and I think based off what we talked about earlier and what you've just mentioned there, I'm completely on board. I actually like what you mentioned about, to a certain extent, yes, like remastered remakes are money grabs. I think that's should be on the table. Like,
I mean, look how many times
nostalgia.
Bethesda re-released Skyrim, and how many times I've bought it
I was
on
gonna say.
multiple platforms across multiple generations. I've bought Skyrim 6 times, man. I've bought Knights of the Old Republic
Exactly.
probably 3 or 4. Like, The
That's
Last
fine.
of Us is probably going to get remastered every 2 years until,
Yeah.
I don't know, the end of time.
Yeah. No, absolutely. For me, okay, let's go back. The idea that it's a cash grab, I can kind of get on board with a little bit, but let's break it down a little bit. I couldn't believe when I looked earlier that it's 5 years. The 3D All Stars is 5 years old tomorrow. Like, 5 years is a long time in gaming. It was a timed physical exclusive. Obviously, once that ran out the print, it went out the print. And obviously, a year ago, as you mentioned, it left the eShop. Now since then there's been a Switch 2 launch. There's a whole new generation of gamers that are wanting to play, are getting familiarized with Mario. And I think we hear from the core audience, die-hard fans, so often we talk about this stuff with them day in, day out. And so I understand why their opinion is often it's a cash grab in this scenario, especially. But on the broader spectrum, it's been 5 years since 3D All Stars. It's been a year since it left the eShop. Personally, I have no issue in paying to get this. Plus, Galaxy 2 has not been done since it first launched. So, yeah, got a little bit confused in the middle there. Kind of lost my train of thought. Perhaps it's a San Pellegrino. I swear it is just San Pellegrino. But things got a little bit bubbly and fuzzy in the middle there. But yeah, so that's my take.
Bubbly and fuzzy like the water. Love it.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah.
Also, if anyone wants to sponsor us, that's a nice example. That's a nice example of how we can quite naturally integrate products, like non-endemic products, into these podcasts. This
is the family show.
Sampel, if you wanna drop us some ducats, please do. Love me some water. Yeah, no, I think there's a point about game preservation there, and Nintendo, to their credit, and yeah, we will talk about GameKey cards in a sec. Like, all of their titles have been fully on cart, and I think they've committed to that going forwards. And like, from a game preservation perspective, yeah, I want Galaxy 1 and 2 on the same cartridge that I can keep and look at lovingly on my shelves and occasionally crack out and play because they're two of the best games of all time. Like, love that, and I will be right there. At the time of recording, we have just an absolute steal on it. It's under 50 quid at TGC. Go snap it up now. Free delivery, reward points.
With a free microfiber cloth.
With a free microfiber cloth.
Join the team and keep your specs clean at TGC.
That's right. We're just smashing the jingles and the slogans in this one. I love it.
I mean, this podcast started with a jingle for the ages, man. So I at no point am I the way
I've set the bar too high. I've set the bar too high now because there's gonna be an expectation that this happens every week, and I'm like, shit.
It's vibes. I'm still a little bit in shock. In fact, I blame your disclaimer rap, your disclaimer sonnet, on my complete and utter fall apart when discussing Mario Galaxy and is it a cash grab or not. It's just delayed reactions. Yeah.
So we've mentioned Switch 2. It's been out for a few months now. Obviously dropped in June. It's been Nintendo's best launch from a numbers perspective, from a unit ship perspective. It's been awesome for them. It's been awesome for us as well, as a store, as a retailer. We both have one. What are your thoughts on Switch 2 now we're a few months in, now that it's sort of bedded in? Yeah.
Okay. So I'm still a little bit confused as to why Mario Kart launched with the console and perhaps not Donkey Kong. That may be an unpopular take, but for me, I think the Switch 2 was crying out for a 3D platformer to launch, to really just kind of give it that massive entrance. I spoke to numerous people online. I speak to our customers regularly, and a lot of people were saying, like now that they're they've had their fun with Mario Kart. I know Donkey Kong wasn't far behind, but it was like we're just kind of waiting for something else to play. Obviously, you had your third-party titles, and it was a really strong third-party lineup. I know Cyberpunk 2077, like the sales on that, the figure we saw was for physical was insane, which is a testament to what is now an incredibly well polished and just a fantastic game. Yeah,
that they fitted on the cart as well. Like, which shout out CDPR for
madness.
Doing right sure. by physical fans.
But for me, Donkey Kong, in truth, perhaps I've not given it a massive amount of time. But in truth, it didn't grab me in the first kind of hour in the way that I was hoping it would. Some of that I think is to do with this. It's not personal. It's not the game's fault. I'm in a room and everything is breakable. I am scared to leave that room in case I don't find something that I need to find, or that in case it's another thing that I can break. And after the first hour, man, I was like mentally fatigued because I'm like, this is just so that may be more myself, but that's just for me, this was trying out for a 3D Mario launch title. I would have like sold my soul for a 3D Mario launch title with the console. So at this time we're still without one. I was really hoping as the Nintendo trailer faded towards the end of the direct. I was quite surprised to get Fire Emblem, to be honest. I was really expecting, especially around the whole 40th anniversary Mario. They did obviously they dropped Galaxy Movie at the start and 1 and 2 at the start. I was kind of expecting a big finish, whether it was like, I don't know, Odyssey 2 or just a whole new Mario adventure. So again, just personal disappointment that we've not got that. And I think that Mario Kart 8 was pretty much a perfect game. And I don't think Mario Kart World meets that bar, in truth. I've had fun with it.
I don't think it could, though. Like I think that's a completely fair point. But you've had a game that's basically been iterated on over a decade, and it's the best Mario Kart that we've ever seen. It's like the platonic form of Mario. It's the ultimate Mario Kart experience. And then they try and release another one. And I think you made a really good point there about Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, because obviously the Odyssey team went straight on to Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I think it shows. I absolutely love that game. I think I agree with you. It should have been the launch title. That should have been the pack-in, because you're coming off the back of like Mario Kart 8 is phenomenal. Why would you suddenly trade the best? Quite possibly, there's an argument for it to be the best racing game, let alone the best karting game, the best racing game of all time, for a new game that is brilliant. Like it's Mario Kart. Obviously, it's brilliant. It can't possibly be as brilliant as a game that's had 10 years to build on just iron out every little niggle and build this massive, massive foundation of brilliance, right? So why would you set yourself that challenge? Have Donkey Kong as your pack in, as your launch title, and that's a 90 plus Metacritic game. It's phenomenal. Same team that brought us Odyssey. It uses the Switch 2 in so many different ways. The motion controls are fantastic, and like the destruction obviously plays into the power of the machine. Like, yeah, I agree with you. There's an expectation, right, that you have a 3D platformer as the lead out for a new Nintendo console, and it was right there. So yeah, really, I'd be well interested to find out what conversations were happening in the boardrooms that led to that month-long delay, because you wonder, it could have sold even quicker. Like, I know they had some supply issues and there were stock throttling to a certain extent, and allocations were tight. But like, yeah, man, even the records they set with Switch 2, I wonder if they smash those if Bonanza is a day one title.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Really, it's not as if Donkey Kong Bonanza was coming at Christmas. It was a month behind. It's not like it wasn't ready. I can't imagine that it wouldn't be ready at that point. Like it would have been in print and everything by that point, surely. So I think that for me was the most confusing thing. It wasn't even like it was a coming into a Q4 release or anything. It was coming up right behind the Switch 2 launch. So that was the confusing thing for me. But then I suppose when I say, Odyssey 2 or something like that, that's kind of unrealistic because they'd spent so much time doing Bonanza. Like the Odyssey team, where were they just going to magically pluck Odyssey 2 from whilst doing
down the back of the couch?
So, on the flip side, maybe a whole new Mario adventure then, but yeah, look, in spite of that, as you've mentioned, it sold incredibly well for us. The Switch 2 has been immensely popular. And, every drop that we did sold out. Every time Nintendo gave us more allocation and we communicated on mailers and on social and so on, there were so many people that were still disappointed that they didn't manage to get one that time around. And, it was hectic, as a new console launch always is from our side. It doesn't really matter how well you prepare. There's always going to be overlap. There's always going to be some craziness, and there's always going to be disappointed people, unfortunately. But by and large, it's still been an immensely successful console, even after obviously in its first few months. For me, this Direct has definitely piqued my interest again. I will say that at the moment I'm still playing my PS5 more than I'm playing my Switch 2, but that will change in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, when we get Galaxy and obviously Metroid's coming for the end of the year, there's some exciting stuff there. But for me personally, still at the moment, spending more time on my PS5 than I am on my Switch 2.
I think that's obviously, however you want to play is okay, but like I think that's, to Nintendo, that would probably be okay as well. Like their strategy ever since the Wii has been really to be the second console in people's homes, right? Like it changed slightly. Because they got out of that power struggle in terms of quite literal console power with Sony and Microsoft, and went, we're just going to go over here and just innovate around hardware and do our own thing, sort of thing. And it's worked brilliantly for them over the years. The Wii was fantastic. I still rate the Wii U. It was a confusing name. The brand prop was perhaps misguided, in the approach to sort of trying to market and sell that console was perhaps a little naive. But like as a console, there were some great games for that console.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I would love to just talk about that for a second, because in terms of titles on a console, obviously there's one of Nintendo's worst selling consoles, if not maybe even the worst. But for me, it had such an incredible lineup of games, and I'm so happy to see. And I hold my hands up, and I bought them twice. I bought them on Wii U, and I bought them again on Switch. Mario 3D World, by the way, is my favorite Mario game of all time, and one of my favorite games of all time. I loved 3D Land on the 3DS. I completed that in like a weekend, picking it up after I finished with 3D World, and I was like, hang on, I never played 3D Land. So I kind of went backwards, but like I just did nothing but 3D Land all weekend. Like, unbelievable games.
Completely understandable and highly relatable.
Yeah, and highly relatable. Captain Toad, that just being a tiny little
game,
mate. Like the way that was just like kind of like drip fed to us in 3D World and then given to us in a full game. That was mind-blowingly good, like immense. I played that on Wii U and on Switch. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, genius. Again, I was just so happy to see those titles because there were some absolutely amazing Nintendo games, like some of the best in my opinion, get the love that they deserved on the mass scale on the Switch. Because the Wii U for me was probably a bit of a failure in terms of the console and what they wanted to do. But the title lineup, man.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, but I think one of the people got confused with the name, right? Like, and that's understandable. I think Switch 1 to Switch 2 is a lot more simple, and it does kind of exactly what it says on the tin. The Switch 2 is just a beefier Switch. It takes everything that was great about the Switch and just sort of turns the power up a little bit, adds some cool features. I haven't really used game chat very much, if I'm being completely honest. But I love how all the things that I loved on the Switch now run even better. So, that's the thing. It's just the Switch 2 has just replaced the Switch in my life. And when I want something that isn't my PS5 or my Xbox Series X, it's there with a raft of with an array of just like really awesome games that I never quite got round to playing before, and I'm playing in even better fidelity and smooth frame rates and glorious wonderfulness on Switch 2. But I'm hyped for this Christmas, man. I'm hyped for this Christmas because I think, we needed the Switch 2 needed this. Needed just like a massive, confident, come out, swing in showing from Nintendo. And I think they did that in the direct. So
agreed.
Yeah. Let's touch on because Jake came in with a second question.
Okay.
I want to touch very, very, very quickly on game key cards. And he said, what are your views personally on game key cards and the aspect of them? And again, slight caveat here. Obviously, we're a retailer. We sell game key cards, and I can completely understand why publishers might love them. One thing I will say is it's a massive step up, obviously, from Code and Box. Code and Box is sort of, in my personal opinion, kind of the devil. But game key cards at least offer a semblance of some of the reasons why folks buy physical, right? You can trade them, you can swap them, you can resell them. And so I think it's a compromise that sort of maybe from a consumer perspective kind of fails on both sides. But I can understand the desire to make that compromise. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. So, yes, it's a middle ground that you still don't own it. It's still disappointing from a preservation standpoint, and it's still disappointing if you want to, if you're collecting because you love physical media for everything that physical media represents in terms of ownership and preservation. But I do like that it at least affords some of the positives. Even if it's pointing towards a slightly depressing future.
Yeah. I like what you said about it bridging that gap a little bit from Code in Box, to a more physical collector. But personally, if we are talking personally, the only Switch 2 games I own are all fully on cart. I don't think it would take an exclusive title of epic proportions that I couldn't get on any other format for me to, I think, be completely okay with buying a game key card, and that's just me. If we are talking about personal opinions, as I said, it's for me, it is an improvement on Coding Box, and I echo your sentiment on Coding Box. You put it very eloquently, but yeah, a couple of things we discovered about Game Keycard, of course. One, the biggest one perhaps, is that I think full payment is required upfront from the publisher to put the game on cart in full. So I can understand why I think some people some publishers wouldn't opt for that. Some of the smaller titles, perhaps some of the third-party titles and so on. It is going to be expensive, I would think, and obviously Nintendo have the ability with their key card, to kind of do what they want for their first-party titles. Cyberpunk was a finished game, and after all of the scrutiny that it came under very early on, obviously it then became pretty much 9.9 out of 10, and they were able to just kind of drop that onto the card, which is fantastic. And the other side of it as well, which we talked about the other day, was the optimization, and it was talking about certain titles running better with Game Keycard, which is as you mentioned, a slightly depressing prospect of the future for us as from our side of the fence. Ultimately, to answer your question, to cut a very long story short, for me, I'm not going to buy a game keycard unless it's an exclusive, which I cannot get anywhere else, and I am desperate to play.
I think that's it. Like we've said this before. Like we champion physical media not because we hate digital for any reason. Like, I own plenty of digital games, right? I love, like Jesus, I really love the convenience of digital. Sometimes it's so handy. But again, this goes kind of back to that point of a game key card kind of failing to satisfy either digital or physical audience, because I might as well just buy the digital game to a certain extent, because then I get the super convenience. But if I want a game physically, and it's available fully on disc or on cart, then I'll do that for those reasons that we've already discussed. Like a game keycard doesn't really satisfy why I buy digital or why I buy physical fully. So look, I mean, tell us what you guys think, because and plenty of you already have, and I think we've got many diehards that certainly, I think, follow the same pattern that you talked about there, Jack, in terms of why would I buy a game key card, and also people power. It matters. Like Nintendo put that survey out a few weeks back and then shut it down because folks like us went, jump on this and tell them your dissatisfaction. But they were asking, like, would you ever buy a game key card? Why wouldn't you? All this sort of stuff. You don't send out Qualtrics surveys like that unless you're seeing patterns in your financials that might cause you some alarm, right? So, when I say people power matters, I've got to be a bit careful here, because, like, yes, obviously we want to do a good job for publishers. We want to sell game key cards, but I think ultimately, as consumers, you always have the choice of what to buy. So I'll kind of leave it at that.
But to finish, just to highlight what we've mentioned, I think possibly in one of the previous podcasts, just to echo what you said, we are not against digital in any way. We just want to continue to have the option of both.
100%. It's about choice.
We just want both to be available to cater to both communities. People love the convenience of digital, and I too own digital games. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't, because I do, and it's great on occasion. But yeah, the idea that one could potentially be eradicated down the line in complete favor of the other, to me, is just an incredibly sad prospect for you see what happens with the likes of, look at the way vinyl's resurgence has just like changed the game again. It's people still love a physical product, and we spoke about it the other day about the instant kind of need for things these days. When you would wait for a game to come out, even before you're old enough to like drive or take the bus, and your parents would take you to the shop and you would get the game and you would unseal it and you would open it and you could smell it, man. You could just like, it was just, you were like the manual and the back, and you was in the car and you're like, I cannot wait to get this home. And it's like, maybe we're a dying generation, but I mean, we have many customers that support our love for physical, and if you just go by even just our social media feeds alone, there is an army of people of people that are still very much physical media forever.
Yeah, like 100%. And I think I wanted to make a point about I wanted to make a point about 28 years later, and my brain has sort of fried and forgotten exactly what the point I was going to make was. But essentially, you couldn't watch the previous two films anywhere.
No.
You couldn't buy them physically because they'd gone out of print when 28 years was about to hit cinemas. Which once again shows the advantage of physical media, because there were no streaming platforms. They clearly hadn't necessarily thought this all the way through. There was nowhere you could actually watch those two films until someone went, "Oh, we should relicense this." And that's, when we talk about game preservation, we talk about artistic preservation when it and entertainment preservation more than anything else, because it's exactly the same in film, it's exactly the same in music. That's what we're talking about, really. The capacity to enjoy the things that we love for years and years and years to come. And I've never like I don't like the idea that an enjoyment of a thing that has existed can just be gatekept by capitalist licenses, essentially. Like, if I bought a thing, I want to be able to enjoy that for as long as I possibly can. So yeah, hopefully, Jake, that sort of answered that question. Let's move on to something a bit, I don't say happier, but a little bit lighter. Obviously, we've been talking about Nintendo. Jack, what is your favorite Nintendo console?
SNES.
Nice.
SNES. SNES. It's just
specifically the European SNES, which is a beautiful, beautiful console, unlike the American SNES, which really looks like it hit every single branch of the ugly tree on its way down.
Yeah. I mean,
I was hearing somewhere that they don't call it the SNES, they call it the SNES. And I don't know if that's true. So if there are any Americans listening, is that true? Because that also sounds bonkers to me.
That's upsetting. I think is the term you were looking for. Like, no. SNES for me was my first gaming console. That was my own. I think we talked about this maybe last week. It just blew my tiny mind. I had Super Mario All Stars. I had Super Metroid. I think those were the two games I had to begin with. I don't recall there being any others when I had the console at Christmas. But that was all I needed. Like, it just, for me, it's a huge part of why I love video games today. It was something that was my own, and it just really just got me into. I'd finished school and I'd come home and I just couldn't wait. I was just so excited to have that Mario fix, or to be honest, the Super Metroid, I used to watch my dad play a lot more when I was younger, just because I just wasn't really old enough to fully grasp the concept of such a massive game at that age. But again, getting to go back and complete that as a teenager was a life-changing experience. For me, hands down, the SNES. What about yourself?
It's so interesting again, because that it just illustrates again why it's such a bit of a baffling choice to have Mario Kart World over Donkey Kong Bonanza. Because Donkey Kong Bonanza to me is the game that you go home and you play 10 hours off straight.
Yeah.
Right? Like it. Yeah. Strange, baffling. Anyway, my
can you imagine? Sorry, but can you imagine? You're just sorry to jump in. Mario Kart World would have been the perfect title to launch at Christmas.
It would.
Yeah. I mean, you could have had your Bonanza. We could have had a Bonanza. It would have been a vibe. Would have had a great time. And Mario Kart World would have been the top selling game for Christmas.
Absolutely, you're there stuffed with turkey, and you just play in local. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be doing that anyway. But like, you're right. Like from a release beats perspective, that's a lie. I'm gonna be playing Metroid, obviously. But from a release beats perspective, yeah, to me that makes the most sense. Like everything you just described there with Super Metroid, that's why you want that kind of that immersive, gonna grab hold of you and not let go for 50 hours experience as a launch title.
Yeah.
My favorite Nintendo console is the GameCube. It's not my first. My first was the Game Boy, and then N64, and then GameCube, which obviously launched with Luigi's Mansion, which famously wasn't a Mario title, but was intriguing and awesome enough that again, I played 10 hours of that straight as soon as I could. But yeah, the GameCube for me is it's one of the most perfect consoles I think that has ever existed. The controller was absolutely awesome. The Wavebird is still probably my favorite controller of all time.
Did you see our tweet today?
You can see the little purple one for the Switch back there.
Did you see my tweet today? Somebody put up, and it was like, which side are you? It's like, let's end this debate. Which side are you on? And it was the original GameCube controller, and it was I think it was the Switch wireless controller. And I just quoted it with the Wavebird because that is the correct answer.
That's the only answer.
Yeah. It's the greatest controller of all time.
It's the best. It's the absolute best. It was ergonomic perfection. It's brilliant. This goes quite nicely into a question from Dan Percy, who says, did I miss out on the GameCube? And what was the standout game for you? And Dan, I have props. So
my man came prepared.
Oh yeah. So we talk about launch titles. Oh my days, Rogue Leader was the absolute shiz. It was so awesome. Death Star Trench Run graphics just blowing your tiny little mind. My retinas could not believe what I was seeing. It was phenomenal.
My retinas.
What else? Zelda Wind Waker, absolutely phenomenal. Like wonderful.
10 out of
10. This version also has Ocarina of Time Master Quest in it, which just reinvigorated my favorite game of all time. Absolutely fantastic. Eternal Darkness, Hanate's Requiem. We wouldn't know, like, what an innovative game. I mean, what happened to Silicon Knights? It's a tragedy.
I never played that.
One day there will be a film made of what happened to the studio. But Eternal Darkness, you should play this. You would love psychological horror. Like you would love this. The sanity meter, one of the most innovative things ever put into a game. Wonderful. Actually, sorry, complete sidebar for a second. One thing I didn't mention when we were talking about that Nintendo Direct, Fatal Frame 2. Wonderful. Yes. Yeah. More of that sort of thing, please. Like, also, just in terms of ingenious horror, like, you don't want to look at the horrible things when it comes to horror, but a game that's sole purpose is to make you look at the horrible thing. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway,
genius concept.
Super Mario Sunshine. Sunshine. Super Mario Sunshine. People will tell you this is one of the weakest 3D Mario games. They're wrong. It's fantastic. And
I can get behind that.
And obviously Metroid Prime. It's just so good. It's just so good. There are too many. But basically, Daniel, you go back and just play. Just enjoy the GameCube. It's quite easy to start collecting. I'm early in my collecting journey for GameCube, but and also there are a bunch of titles now being released on the Virtual Console for Switch and Switch 2. So yeah, F-Zero plays like a dream. It's so good. It's so good.
There's a couple in there that I would like to throw in. Obviously, the question being, did I miss out on the GameCube? Yes, you did, Daniel. But it's not too late, as you've rightly said. Super Smash Bros. Melee is the best Smash Brothers game, and yeah, just wonderful. Metroid Prime 1 and 2, as you mentioned. Resi 4 being a GameCube exclusive.
That was incredible.
And the fact that it had that like chainsaw controller was just. And shout out Super Monkey Ball. I loved Super Monkey Ball. I've also probably at times never been more frustrated in my life than when playing Super Monkey Ball.
Was that a launch title? I think that was a launch title.
I am unsure on that. But
We'll check.
It had many hours of play in my GameCube. I remember having my GameCube for Christmas at my dad's house, and like, you know, the handle on it, and just kind of just walking around with it like a lunchbox.
Just like, it was phenomenal.
I was a teenager, bro. Like I wasn't a kid. I wasn't like, I was like, yeah, this is amazing. Look at this. Put on the Christmas on the table. We have Christmas dinner. Look at this. Yeah, just an amazing console.
I just remember as well. This is a really weird detail. I just remember the spring, the spongy spring on the lid, as being incredibly satisfying.
Yeah.
Also, the little pop. The pop thing on the spindle inside the console was also incredibly. It was a really tactile, incredibly satisfying console. It's just the best.
It was incredibly robust too, wasn't it? Like you just felt like, do you know what? Not that you have any need to like kind of pick this, but it obviously, I felt like if I dropped that, it was going to be completely fine. Like it was just, it's like the ultimate like phone case on a console. It just felt like it was indestructible, and it was just small little thing, but it was nifty. The colors. We saw one the other day, which I think was it a Japan exclusive, the orange GameCube, which I kind of just need now. Like I just need it.
Speaking of Japanese GameCubes as well, like and shout out to Darren, who's our head of pricing and promotions here on the retail side. Like he absolutely loves the Panasonic Q, which to be fair might be the best looking thing ever created. It's like a silver chrome jukebox GameCube, and you can't get one for like under 1,200 quid. And even then, you've got to go eBay and you've got to get it shipped from Japan. It's gorgeous. It is. One day I will have one when I've sold several organs and don't have to pay for nursery for my son anymore.
Life. Why?
Life.
Why must life get in the way? But Darren actually had this. Well, Darren sold his because he went traveling.
He had one,
and he sold it for substantially less than what they are worth now. So yeah, it's always a kind of this moment of nostalgia with Darren when you talk about it, and then you kind of see the colour drain from his face when the reality bites, and it bites hard.
We will get him on at some point to talk about that because
we will. But
yeah,
if it's not too painful for him,
if it's not too painful, yeah. But yes, Daniel, you did miss out, but there are plenty of ways to get back in. That's the moral of this story. A couple of other questions. NSW Mongoose, who thank you because you are one of our Twitter regulars.
Indeed.
Has said, what other amiibo ideas would you like? For example, the ones you can swap, like the Kirby Air Riders ones. Perhaps Mario Kart World could use that idea, or not, as I'd be broke. And that is in many ways the plight of the collector. You can just see, actually, just slightly out of shot, I've got a bunch of amiibo up there, and I ignored the advice that we gave out on last week's show because I didn't really have a plan. I just wanted a whole bunch of amiibo. And then ran out of money and stopped collecting them for a while. And now there are so many that it's bewildering. Anyway, I'm not quite sure where I was going with that. Other than to say, amiibos are great. And yeah, having swappable amiibos would be awesome. I'd quite like to see like super premium, awesome, statuesque, maybe posable amiibo. I don't know. But like, I'd like to see like amiibos that are, you know how you've got like the really premium, you've got some premium Funkos, but also you've got like Bam Presto on our sister site, like you've got collectible figurines that are small and relatively inexpensive, but then yeah, make some super premium ones.
Do you remember
that I can again sell an organ for? Like, what am I doing, Jack?
You're making wonderful life choices, Matt. That's what you're doing. Do you remember the big Yoshi's Woolly World amiibos?
Oh, that exactly like that. Incredible. Unfortunately, I accidentally dropped mine in a puddle and it never really recovered.
Why were you outside with your Yoshi's Woolly World emoji? The emoji? Amiibo. Like, that's how much that's confused me. Why were you outside? Why were you outside in the rain with your giant Yoshi's Woolly World? In fact, don't answer that. There's no need. It's messed up.
I don't even remember. I don't even know.
Well, just to mention Yoshi's Woolly World briefly, I had this like kind of my heart kind of like jumped when we saw Yoshi in the Nintendo Direct, and I was like, Woolly World 2, give it to me, just give me, yeah. And then we didn't get Woolly World 2. It does look kind of cool.
It looks really cool though.
Yoshi and the something
and the
book
book
of.
Oh god, I can't remember.
Yeah, but so that was that, But yeah,
Yoshi and the Book of Vibes.
There it is.
Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book.
No, and from this day forward, it will be known as Yoshi and the Book of Vibes. No, that's it. That's that. But for me, Amiibos, hear me out. Ready? Dino Crisis Remake, exclusive to Switch 2, fully on cart, and just give me a Velociraptor. End. There it is.
Incredible.
I can't believe it's taken me 3 podcasts to mention Dino Crisis Remake. But here I am.
That's yeah. What's wrong?
It's been a tough few weeks. I'm not going to lie, but I've been struggling with a few things. But this question really made me think and reevaluate. And
that.
Dino Crisis Remake, exclusive on Switch, fully on cart, Velociraptor. Just give me Velociraptor. Just give me Velociraptor Amiibo. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm here for that. Done.
Mic drop.
Done. That won't get topped.
And can we just talk about? Do you have a favorite Amiibo? Because mine is the Super Metroid, the Metroid one, the squidgy Metroid. Like,
that's very, very cool.
As like Amiibo designs go, I've kind of felt maybe some of them over the years have been a little bit lazy or a little bit of like an easy kind of out. But that one, when that came into stock and I looked at it, I was like, that is what this is supposed to be. Like I just want that on my shelf. Like, regardless of whether I'm going to use that in game for any in-game items or not, that's fire.
Yeah. All of the Metroid ones have been kind of cool, really, because you like the OG. I've got the original kind of day one Samus, which I think was for Smash Brothers. So I think all of that early lineup was for Smash Brothers. Zero Suit, the Ridley one is kind of ridiculous. Oh man,
yeah, what a and another one comes to mind, just I don't know, the Guardian Amiibo from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's awesome. It's too far away for me to reach at the moment, but I just really, really like Wind Waker Toon Link. There's nothing special about it. I just really like it because the art style's great, and his eyes are just popping, and he just looks amazing.
Wind Waker's just a beautiful game, and as somebody that's not. Yeah, I'm not a huge Zelda fan. I'm really not. In fact, my favorite Zelda game is Link Between Worlds on 3DS, which I loved. I don't know what it just it got me completely hooked. But for me, I think Wind Waker is right up there. Because I had it on GameCube, and just the art style.
I remember the art style being this, and I felt this at the time before I played it. So I remember reading N64. Then it became GCN magazine. And I remember there being this furore around the art style because, and feeling this myself, because Ocarina of Time is my favorite. It feels like you're playing through this epic adventure and you're this awesome hero, and it's like you're living this adventure. It's incredible. And then like the art style, the first images from Wind Waker came out and everyone went collectively nuts, going like, why are we playing through a kid's cartoon? This isn't the epic series that I remember, kind of thing. I remember feeling a little bit of that because, I was my early teenage years, I think, and easily swayed by the opinions of the proto internet. And then you play it and you're just like, well, this is incredible. And like the animation and the animation and the art style and the cell shading actually feeds into all of it, and it's butter smooth, and it is a different vibe to Ocarina of Time, but that's okay. And it's so good.
Good. I mean, you've mentioned Ocarina as your favorite game of all time, and I think that probably then LinkedIn.
Oh,
Accidental. That was not. Believe it or not, that was not on purpose.
Take the credit, man. Take the credit.
I'll take it.
It's
I'll
all
put that in my
out.
pocket. Thank you. That probably like linked in massively to how you felt towards Wind Waker at first glance. But then you give a little bit of time to that game and you get a lot back in a very short space of time. It doesn't take long to get. It felt like a very accessible Zelda game, didn't it? Yeah. It felt, it was one of those you could kind of just jump on and just enjoy. I always found, for me, the likes of Ocarina or Majora was. It felt like you really needed to focus. Maybe that was
Majora's Mask, especially.
But it felt really intense to me, which is why perhaps I struggled more with them. Wind Waker definitely had that more of pick up and play. Okay, I remember where I was. Okay, let's crack on.
Yeah, Majora's Mask. I remember having a notebook because obviously you've got the time loop. Yeah, and I was just like, before I went and hit the guide, which naturally, I had a notebook where I was jotting down the various things and where people were at various times during the day, and I found it a bit much, if I'm being honest. But then I went back to it again a little bit older when it re-released on the 3DS, and I've got the gold Majora's Mask 3DS XL.
Show it.
There it is.
Bosh. Beautiful.
But and I was I was older, obviously, able to enjoy it a lot more, I think. But it as you say, it requires, that game in particular, I think much more so than Ocarina, requires a lot of you.
Yeah. I will say a notebook is some dedication. I respect that. I respect the hustle. And
there are only a few games that really require that these days. I think Fez was one of them. Remember that indie game Fez?
Nope, never played it.
But yeah, like I think I've heard tell of, like, is it The Island? Jonathan Blows The Island. Can't remember. Anyway, there are only a handful of games that I think really required that. Most of them older titles. But those were the glory days of, like, the Prima strategy guide, which was always a good pickup. Again, you're in a store, just gonna leaf through the glorious strategy guide at the same time.
Nothing to see here. Yeah. I had the Super Metroid with the guide, the bigger box, and yeah, I mean, even though I wasn't, as I mentioned, wasn't like fully like old enough to fully appreciate that game, I still walked around with that thing under my arm like it was a Bible as a kid. It was like, yeah, it's like bedtime reading almost.
That was it. You'd take it everywhere and you'd flick through it and you'd read it. I had one for Banjo-Kazooie. I remember trying to get all of, like, the Jinjos and the puzzle pieces and the notes, and I was just like, yeah, you'd take it to the toilet, just read it on the bus.
In the school bag, like sticker albums back in the day. If you checked your bag in the schoolyard and it was raining and you got home and it was just like all all damp and like, you're like, well, it's all part of the character. It's it's cool. It's just, yeah.
Loved it.
Good times.
The best times, man.
Yeah.
The best times. Two quick questions, I think, to finish off with. The Night Rats Club over on Instagram has asked, should Nintendo share their games with other consoles? So obviously Microsoft just like, yeah, everyone have our games, because, like, yeah, we're going to be the top selling publisher on PlayStation with 6 games, which absolutely is bonkers to see Gears of War on a PlayStation. But you know what? It's making them some sick bank. So it's making them more bank than probably the consoles are, given the install bases.
Pretty much.
Quite wee in comparison. But yeah, should Nintendo share their games with other consoles?
For me, I think there's a much bigger argument and a stronger argument for PlayStation and Xbox marrying up than there is for Nintendo to join that kind of, have at it. I think Nintendo is, as you mentioned earlier on, they've always been quite happy originally were quite happy to be like the second console in the home. And I think Nintendo games just offer something just different. Like, I just love I'm 35 years old, and I still have that child in me that gets satisfied by playing like Mario games and everything else. But there's also titles on the Switch which do challenge and you can enjoy at an older level. For me, I still think that the authenticity and the whole the brand kind of, how can I put it, like just the whole ethos around Nintendo just being what it is and doing whatever the hell it wants to. I just think that needs to be out there on its own. Personally, I'd be a bit upset. Not upset, I think that's the wrong word. I'd be a bit gutted if they were to open up and share cross-platform. I love Nintendo for being Nintendo, and I want to get from Nintendo. PlayStation exclusives on Xbox, I wouldn't be against. I really wouldn't. Let's open that up. But not Nintendo games for me personally. What about you?
I think as well, like so often Nintendo look to innovate in terms of hardware and then develop specifically for that hardware, right? It's why it's often it's been difficult for third parties to sometimes justify, because they have tight budgets too, and they're trying to and predominantly people develop PC first or to make for easier porting. The architecture of the PlayStation and the Xbox in recent years, in recent generations, has been pretty similar. You'd have to go back to 360 and PS3 era, and PS3 was a real arse to develop for originally. But then by the time you get to, it was only Microsoft who shot themselves in the foot with Xbox One by insisting on Kinect. Otherwise, there would have been maybe a lot more parity. But I also think that, and I'm going to be a bit savage here. Maybe this might be a bit of a spicy take, personal opinion. But Microsoft reached a point where their exclusives were no longer good enough to sell consoles reliably, and I think they went on that massive buying spree in terms of publishers, but their IPs, because they had a broken long-term strategy. They ended up with short-term exclusives, and also maybe exclusives and IPs that could no longer sell consoles in the quantities required to fulfill that need on the bottom line. I think PlayStation's a bit different, but even they have obviously given up a lot of their IPs to PC, certainly now. Nintendo, I don't think, are in that situation. I still think, a Mario game will sell Nintendo. They've just had their best-selling console ever.
Yeah.
Their best-selling launch ever. Like, they have no need to put their games on anyone else's system. In fact, I genuinely think that would be detrimental to their business, to their brand. I don't. They have no need to do it.
No, that's it. And I probably missed that out. As maybe the most obvious point is that they just don't need it. They are an absolute powerhouse, and that's not to say that the PlayStation and Xbox aren't. But the question here is about Nintendo cross sharing, and I don't particularly want to be in a world where that happens.
No, Nintendo got a Nintendo, and long may that be true. Even when sometimes it frustrates, right? I think I'd much rather they keep sailing that unique, wonderful, strange ship of theirs the way they want to.
Unapologetically.
Last question. So this one comes in from Vinla. It kind of ties in. I think we've touched on this a little bit already this episode. Have either of you got any particular special memories from going to buy a physical game at a shop, midnight launches, etc.? Any specific or even just broad special memories?
So this got me thinking, and 17th of July, 1998. I know that date because that's my birthday, just so you all know. But it was also the date that Banjo-Kazooie launched in the UK.
Yes.
And I want to say it was the day before my birthday. I was only 7, coming up to 8. But I went to my grandmother's house and she played me an answer phone message on the phone, and it was a guy from a video game shop in Swansea saying that the pre-order for Banjo-Kazooie that she'd made had arrived, and it could be come to collect. So yeah, I distinctly remember hearing that, and I'm like, does that mean that, and she's like, yeah, it's for your birthday, and it was just like, boom, like just such an amazing. And talking about going to pick up the game, we went on my birthday and picked it up, and I got it home, and it was just like, I can't wait. And the family were coming back and forth to the house to see me and everything, and I was just like, yeah, whatever, it's Banjo-Kazooie. Like, oh, so and so's your auntie's here to see you. Yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks, thank you. Yeah, it was just, yeah, I distinctly remember Banjo-Kazooie for my 8th birthday on its release date.
Incredible.
Pure cinema.
Pure
cinema.
Pure cinema. Pure cinema. I don't think I've got too many specific memories. I never really did midnight launches, if I'm being honest. But I remember down in Yeovil, because we moved down to Somerset when I was like 11, and I remember Yeovil for a little bit had an EB, it had a game, and it had a game station.
Oh man.
And I would run between them to price compare. And it was just the best, because like you'd walk in, and we were talking about this the other day, like I wanted to work in one of them. Like I think I was like 12, and I was just like, this is goals. Because the people there just seemed so cool. Because I was just working around video games all day, and it was awesome. This is like the year 2000, right? This is like 1999, 2000, and I was just like, this is what life can be. You can just have conversations you can get paid to have conversations with people about video games, and like demo video games, and just chat about video games, and manifested weirdly in a way, but like it was just the best time. And I remember, I think it must be late 2000. Red Alert 2 launched, and yeah, I had my own 64, but I was also still quite a PC gamer. And I loved Command and Conquer. And Red Alert 2 launched, and my mum drove me in to get a haircut. And then she basically went off to have a coffee in a nearby cafe. And as soon as my haircut was done, I went around the corner to Game Station and literally just sitting there for 20 minutes, just reading the back of various PC game boxes, umming and ahhing over Red Alert 2. I didn't have, but I didn't. I was like £5 short in terms of my pocket money, and so I had to go to the cafe and ask Mum to come back with me to get Red Alert 2, and I begged and I pleaded, and I think I said I'd do the washing up for like 2 months or whatever, and then she relented and I got it, and it came in a big, I'm pretty sure, did it come in a big cardboard box? I don't. Either way, I remember being sat in the car on the way home, leafing through the manual, which was nice and thick because it had all the unit guides in it. I just loved that with strategy games. Like, again, those were things that you could take with you, or like toilet, bus, excursion, wherever, bed, just pour over. That was it. The anticipation of coming home from a shop with a new game, and you're doing all of the things like ahead of playing it. Like you're reading the box like 10 million times. You're flicking through the manual until it's already creased by the time you get home. You just bought the thing. Yeah, man, those were the days.
We will never get those times back.
We will literally never get those times back, and kids today will not get to experience that.
It's just sad. Like, I mean, it's not sad to them because they never experienced it, and that's a sign of the times. You move on, you move forward. But I mean, we're of a generation that knew what life was like before the internet. We're one of those like random generations which just kind of like has got the experience of the two. Like, and yeah, the instantaneous nature of how people can just get access to things these days. Like if you want to play a game, 9 times out of 10, if it's not available in your your local store, or whatever, you can just go onto the download store, and if you really want it there and then, you can buy it. Like it's there, it's on your console. The whole thing around like the manual and the physical collecting, and the weight, the birthday gift, or the pre-order that's eventually coming in, and going to the store and picking it up, and it was all just real. And yeah, it's nostalgic, and I know, and a lot of that is wrapped in nostalgia, and a lot of it wasn't as good as as you think it was, and it was all right.
Listener, it was.
It was amazing, and yeah, God bless those times.
God bless those times. I think like anticipation had so much to do with it. So like I think I've done a couple of midnight launches since working in video games, and again it's anticipation, right? Like it's the waiting, it's the calm before the storm, and that it just elevates everything. So yeah, like it was forced because, well, as in we didn't have any other choice back in those days. I think that's the thing now. Like as you say, like instant gratification, and far shorter attention spans, and I completely cast myself within that. Means that you don't get to experience that as much.
No.
You don't really want to either these days necessarily as much. But like back then, it was everything. Is everything, and being able to walk into a store as well and have that conversation. And I think we're not a bricks and mortar enterprise, really. Like we don't have high street presence, but that's certainly something that that we try and convey with our social media presence. And I know it's not the same, but we want customers to feel like the Game Collection has a bit of that Game Station DNA in its blood. That's frankly, like one of my most fervent hopes is that it's not just this faceless entity, that instead you feel like you're talking to a human being. It feels like walking into that store and being able to strike up a conversation. So yeah, tell us if it feels like that, because that's kind of what we're striking out for. But
that's what we hope it is.
Yeah, that's what we hope. That's what we hope it is, at least. And yeah, long may that continue. But yeah, that's us. That's a wrap on episode 3 of the Game Collection podcast. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Honestly, appreciate every single one of you. If you are listening on Spotify, do give us a review. If you're listening on YouTube, do give us a like. Drop us a comment, drop us a follow, drop us a sub. And yeah, we'll be back with more of these, hopefully every Friday. That's the plan. That's the plan, ambitious though it may be. So yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what you're playing, what you're excited for. Let us know what your favorite Nintendo console and Nintendo games are. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you. Love you.
Cheers,
bye
folks. Bye.
See you guys.